All right, so this is session 12 of 13 for Mutant Year Zero. This is Mutant Year Zero from Free League Publishing, a post-apocalyptic game. The base system has powered a number of other games. This is part of the Gauntlet Hangouts, a lot of online games that we run as part of the Gauntlet community. We have about 100 games or so on the calendar this month. If you're interested in finding out about that, you can check us out at gauntlet-rpg.com. We are adhering to the Gauntlet's general policy in terms of gaming. We are using the X card as a safety tool. I know everyone here is familiar with that. For online play, you can either do that as a message in the chat or the visual signal is that. We use that for tone, subject matter, or other issues that pop up. So be aware that that is on the table. Last session, we had a lot of stuff go down. And we're kind of coming into the aftermath, which is actually a good time to come in rather than in the midst of everybody shooting each other, as was going on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have our three returning players introduce themselves briefly, and then we're going to talk with Keith about his character, and then we're going to kind of set up where we're at here. So let me start with you, Obakai.
Sure thing. I am playing Obakai, who is an enforcer working under Bricktoria, who is a hardworking boss. Obakai is a giant crocodile person. Obakai is a fighter, a warrior, can be a bit brutal and aggressive at times, but also occasionally empathetic and caring towards people that earn it. They fight with a scrap axe, and they have a metal lower jaw that Sherry's character NEKO attached for them. And yeah, I think that's Obakai.
And Obakai has a strong belief in there being big other settlements out in the zone, and that possibly there are other people like him, that maybe he's not like the other people on the arc, which I think is an interesting dynamic to him, right? To Obakai, who is they, them, right?
Yeah, Obakai, using they, them pronouns. Okay. Yes, they definitely believe that there are other folks out there and want to sort of are hopeful of a better life outside of the arc if we can establish connection with some of those communities.
Okay. And next we have Syntax, our stalker.
Yeah. So Syntax is an aggressive stalker, which means that they are most at home going out into the zone and scavenging and looking for new stuff. They're really into their two katanas, she, her pronouns, and lately is all about protecting two people that were brought back from the pink. And now we're all up in that pink. Hardcore. Yeah. The pink is here. It's now.
And has been dispatched. But yes, we'll come back to that. And then finally, NEKO.
Yeah, NEKO is Gearhead. She's sort of a skinny woman. Has sort of semi-feline features. But mostly she's just kind of a nervous, dissatisfied, walking around, picking at things, talking to people, trying to figure out ways to fix stuff and change stuff and mess with stuff. She's kind of likes to pretend she's a loner, but she isn't. Obakai's been a stalwart in her life for a long time, as has a friend of hers, Elon, and she likes Syntax, and those are kind of the core of her group. And she's pretty helpful, kind of smart, but she also brings a lot of trouble down because she'll get her fingers in everything. There.
So, Keith, let me give you some sort of important details about where they're at and what has happened just recently. Their arc is this giant beached ship. And we've got, you can see that in Roll20. We've got that area where they've got the exploded cutaway view. We imagine that actually being a section that's torn out of the ship. were about 200 people, 200 mutants on the Ark, all about the same age, with not a real memory of how the Ark came about. There was one figure known as the Elder, not a mutant, definitely older than everyone else, who had throughout everyone's lives been the voice of reason and intelligence, and had taught many things, and had been at the center of the community here. Everybody on the Ark has some mutant power. Some of them have multiples. Power is spread out amongst the various bosses. They have sort of different things that they have a hold of. What happened last session was that one of the bosses was murdered by one of their people, and then another boss was starting to do stuff, and it became clear to the players and to some other people that some people that they had brought back to the Ark that had been sort of rescued were in fact perhaps infiltrators from another area called the Pink that had some kind of psychic powers. It ended up in a massive melee that changed sort of the power dynamics in several places. And so we're coming in, maybe a week after some of that fighting has gone on. More importantly, I think for you is the chroniclers are essentially the literate people on the Ark. They are the educated. They're the only ones who really know how to write sufficiently. Other people are starting to learn it. They're the ones that have always circled around the Elder, taken his knowledge, helped out the Elder, and as the Elder's gotten older, they've taken care of him. But there's been factions in and amongst the chroniclers. And some of them have kind of looked to use that knowledge for power, and some of them haven't. Chroniclers, some of them do go out into the zone along with expeditions in order to write down what has happened. But the Elder has died. The Elder passed away, and one of the more obnoxious chroniclers, a guy named Azazel, was going to try and kind of keep it quiet, but that blew up in his face. And so some of the chroniclers kind of got in trouble because they were trying to cover up that the Elder had passed away, and other chroniclers were, dissatisfied with that. And so there's been some tensions in and amongst that group. Some of the chroniclers have taken off. There's been some people fleeing because there's been some repercussions for that. Azazel is still there, and he's still obnoxious, but he's been able to kind of talk people down from any real repercussions because he wasn't able to do the cover-up that he was going to do. And that's a whole thing. So that's sort of what the dynamic is with the chroniclers. People are looking to them because they have knowledge, but there's also a real split in and amongst them. So Keith, tell us about your character and how you picture them.
So I filled in some of the things already that I was trying to get a hold of the mechanics, but mainly I was thinking about where this guy's coming from. Mm-hmm. I'm picturing Elias as being someone who was in the shit, whatever version of that is in this world, sort of like a war vet or something like that. He's been there and done things, and his personality and his body reflect that. And he's kind of realized that's not the way that he's going to get the things done that he needs to. And I picture him sort of apprenticing perhaps with a different chronicler at what would be probably awkwardly advanced age, and learning the trade, but just putting in the work and ignoring people's opinions and the difficulties in order to get the ability to be literate. And I would think, given what you were just saying, the divide, he would be more on sort of the open information, like, well, I wrote it all down here and it's accessible to any of the people to have this knowledge. I'm recording it for them.
Awesome. So I imagine that probably in terms of being one who suffered, you probably were in some of the early boss gang fights. That would have been the kind of the wars that would have happened on the Ark. Maybe you'd been an enforcer in that from an early age. And you probably have a chronicler who's, a peer your age, but is sort of your mentor. Do you want to give a name for them?
Sure. Unless there's an NPC that would make sense.
A lot of the Chronicler NPCs have died.
Oh, okay.
So
Then Miri was my mentor.
okay. Excellent. And we're going to come in a little bit down the road from when all of this went down. We're like a week later, after all of that has fallen out, and we're going to come to that in just a second. But we're going to stop to do sort of the start of session material that we do at the beginning for the arc. When everyone is at the arc, we stop and we do sort of the council. And I'm going to pull up the arc character sheet. Last time, the group worked and created a militia. They chose that as the project for the people on the arc to work on. And they were able to develop that and organize that. And that has significantly increased the defenses of the arc as a whole. The arc's current stats are food supply 10, culture 11, technology 10, warfare 27. So keeping in mind that the breakpoints are 10, 20, 30. Those are the breakpoints. So you're just edged onto the next level on 3 of those. And warfare, you're significantly into that 3rd stage. So I'm going to go through quickly, given your levels, what kind of projects you could be working on. And the way we do this is we present it and the group discusses what they think would be appropriate to develop, given what you need in terms of building up the stats of the arc, and also in terms of where the whole arc is in the fiction. So taking off the things that you already have, let me go through this. Each of these projects takes a certain number of points based on the number of players. It's either 1 times the number of players, 2 times the number of players, or 3 times the number of players. And then each of them generates dice to 1 or more of the stats. So cropland increases food supply. A pigsty also increases food supply. A temple has already been created. Thunderdome increases warfare if you want to build a zone wrestling arena. You've built a museum. It's a museum of signs from all over the ship. You could build a statue, which increases culture, grand effigy of the elder or a boss with an inflated ego. You could build a sundial, which increases technology. You could work on a harbor, given your current level. Essentially, that's a prerequisite for building boats. It doesn't increase any of your stats, but it is a prerequisite. You could build a smokehouse to smoke meat. You could build a marketplace. You could build a library. You could build stables. You could build a theater. You could build a tribunal, which is a court. You could build a water wheel. You could build a workshop to increase technology. You could build secret police. You could establish a surveillance state if you'd like. And I think that's it for what you guys have access to right now. Oh, you could build an army if you wanted to go even further up the warfare chain. Any of those seem appealing? Anybody want to put one of those forward on the table as something you're interested in? Or I'll answer questions if you want to know about points and what skills are required for the group to work on them. Sherry, I see you nodding sagely.
Our food seems sort of abysmally low for as many people as there are. So for the croplands versus the pigsty, what are the number of dice and the skills required?
Okay. If you went to work on cropland, to work on that and work towards a project, you would either use Endure or Know the Zone. It's 12 points to generate that. So it's 3 times the number of PCs, but it does generate 3d6 towards your food supply. The Pigsty is also Endure or Know the Zone, but it's only 8 points, and it generates 2d6 towards your food supply.
I guess it would be good to think about, like, are we trying to get to 15 or trying to get to 20 for any purpose? If we are, it might be good to go, if we're trying to go for 20, it might be good to go 3d6 just for the better chance, but I'd be okay with either.
You said that 10, 20, and 30 are breakpoints?
Yeah. So
So
essentially, they've got levels. Like 1 to 9 is like the most basic level, and then 10 to 19 is sort of the next. So to just sort of describe what that looks like. So they're at the second level of food supply, which means starvation isn't far away, but people have enough grub to cover day-to-day needs.
And the 3d6 is what would be added to the development level, or it's
yeah, you'd actually roll 3d6 and we'd see how many points. So it could be 3, it could be 18.
So we have a fair chance of getting above the 20 mark with that. So I think I would agree with Sherry on that. The starvation being near doesn't sound great.
That sounds like a plan. You guys can do that. What do you think their syntax?
I think that we need to get the food before we have an army, I guess.
Okay, well, I'm going to write cropland in here.
And to further our aims, I put another point of Know the Zone for my upgrade, and increase my mutant points by 1.
As a reward for everyone's activities, and since Keith, you're kind of starting in from base equipment, each of you will get an additional 6 bullets to work with, and you can assume to have a shovel. Why is a shovel important? Let me tell you, because it's one of the few sort of actual goobs system exploits in Mutant Year Zero. Is if you have a shovel, you get an extra gear die towards any project that you work on. As a free die, and it only costs a bullet. So it is a cheap way to advance that cause.
And we have.
Oh, go on.
And you have, who has 6 more bullets?
Everyone.
Oh,
yeah.
What a nice and kind person Lowell is.
Yes, thank you.
The hidden subject is you will need these bullets for once.
I didn't say that. It was implied.
At some point, I need to spend bullets to get a weapon. The Chronicler does not come with one.
That is true. Absolutely. And we can talk about that, whether you want a ranged weapon or a hand-to-hand weapon, after we do the projects. That sounds easy. I heard that you bought Know the Zone. I think I heard that, right, Fraser? You bought that up?
Yeah, I bought one extra thing in it.
Then absolutely we should start with you on these rolls so that Keith can see how badly this game can hurt you.
Yay. Okay. Although sometimes it has been kind. Like that time that I got 4 successes.
That was uncool.
That was the best cool. Okay, so 2. My wits is 3. And I got a shovel. Yeah.
All right.
2.
Okay, so let me talk with Keith about what Fraser just did. So Fraser rolled, and that first roll is his base roll, and he got 1 success on his stat die there. So that was 1 success towards the project. He decided to push his roll, which meant hitting that blue button. When he re-rolled, he got another success, but also on a yellow dice, he got a 1. And what that does is that causes damage to the stat that he rolled on. So while he's done 2 successes towards this project, he has essentially worn himself out a little bit. So pushing is dangerous because if ones come up on the yellow dice, it does damage to you. If ones come up on the black dice, it'll break your equipment. So tell me what that looks like. How are you imagining this cropland there, Syntax? And what are you doing to assist the preparations and building of this? Is it hydroponics? Is it actually out on the ground? Is it a sea-based thing? What are you imagining?
I imagine it's a lot of trial and error for me. Like, I think that, well, I guess we'll see if any KO ends up needing to help, but I imagine that NAKO is like supervising this and telling me where I need to like use the shovel to trench it and stuff. And I think she has to come back a couple times basically and be like, no, like so. And I'm like, yes. And then I have to redo it. And that is what tires me out.
Okay.
I'm not used to this kind of work, but I do make some progress.
Excellent. Matt, I know that you have a pretty good endure, right?
Yeah, I do. I can go ahead next.
Okay.
So, I also just bought the talent workhorse, which gives me a +2 modifier to all projects.
That's a great one. You put that on your skill dice, on the green dice.
Awesome. So I'm rolling a whole chunk of dice here. Let's see how this goes.
Look, 2 successes, and I mean, you know, you're losing money not pushing it. There you go.
Okay, so I think just after the workhorse talent, I think this is Obakai just working overtime, like the sun's setting and they're still like the only one out in the field. It's just I think that they've got a bit of a renewed sense of purpose with all the tension. They really want to prove themselves, so they're just trying to contribute as much as they can.
Okay. Essentially doing all of that sort of base level work before you kind of get to this. Now, do you imagine that this is sea-based? Is it inside the ark? Is it hydroponic? Is it out like finding dirt outside? What are you imagining this as?
I think there's a little bit of everything because we're trying to see what catches, sort of.
Okay.
So there might be some like I imagine there's like an algae farm almost where we're growing sort of like weird sea life that's kind of on the surface. And then so that might be like in a shallow area of the river or something like that. And then I think there's also, we're trying to, you know, the earth is probably cold and hard, so maybe we're trying to see if we can get just some root vegetables or some simple crops like that to grow. So maybe I'm doing all like the hard digging into the cold earth.
Okay, that sounds good. NEKO, what are you thinking in terms of this cropland and what it's going to look like and how you want to help out with that? You're muted.
So I think that it's interesting that we're trying a bunch of different things. So I think that what we quickly come up with is that things need to be in containers, partially so we can move them around, because the waste is the waste and stuff goes bad quickly, or the rot comes over if there's too much to eat, or if, you know, animal things start getting to it. So we probably end up with like, we say raised containers of earth, which is why it's so much work. And then making frames with nets and stuff for the water stuff and trying to figure out what works.
Okay.
So I will give this a roll and see what happens.
What are you rolling with?
Oh, no, the zone.
Wow.
Did I do okay?
Successes. Yeah, 3.
3. And if I rolled, I'd take a damage.
Yeah. Also, I'd like to submit that NAKO is perhaps inventing Tupperware.
Yes.
Awesome.
Do you want to push it?
Sure. Everyone else has. I might as well take some damage too. Okay. That's okay. I'm confused, but 4 points. Yeah.
we're at 9 successes out of 12. That is pretty amazing right now.
Yeah, 3 more to bring it home, or you just, you just fail everybody, Keith.
No pressure.
Yeah.
So we things I'm good at for this one. So you can pick which one it is, endure or know the zone.
Yes.
Which I have exactly the same spread in.
Okay.
So that is a moot point. Let's see if I can get this rolling done correctly. So the first one is
your skill number.
The skill number, okay. And then I forget what things are called now.
Stats.
Stat. Okay, skill, stat, and then equipment.
Yep.
It's not a lot of dice. It is theoretically possible, though.
All right, so you got 1 success.
Okay.
And now you should push your roll because you can't take any damage on this. You might break a weapon, might break the shovel, but otherwise you can't.
Hey, give it a shot.
Okay. Oh, so close. So close. I think the GM's going to throw you guys a bone since this is session 12. I will spot you that last point since you are that close, and I will let you finish the cropland here. But someone has to roll 3d6 to see how little you actually get towards your food supply.
Sounds like that person is low because he always rolls high.
That is true. Let's see if I can reverse that trend.
At least middling.
I'm trying to roll GURPS dice here, so let's go low. So that is 9.
Below the curve, lol. I'm disappointed in you.
Completely average.
Which takes your food supply to a 19.
Unkind.
It is, but I'm laughing inside. So right now, I imagine that you have the cropland. You've got that set up. It's split around, but things haven't grown yet. I mean, it's still cold. It's still winter, and you're still trying to figure out sort of the technology for keeping these food supply together. So what I'd like to do is a check-in scene with each of the characters to kind of ask them about what they'd be doing, what the setup is, and then I want to come to Keith as the last one. Thank you, and we will. I'll throw some things about the threat and some of the challenges that are out there on the table. So Obakai, a lot of stuff went down. A lot of stuff in your area of interest and expertise. In this time, in this like week after this, Elon has kind of taken over where Marlot was. That fixer, Sixter, who you met before, has kind of gathered the handful of people there at Orion's old place. And has taken control of the distillery there. What have you been up to?
Well, I think to contribute to my big dream, which the first part has happened, but the second part still needs to happen, the rise of Bricktoria, I think that I'm sort of, I guess maybe trying to take advantage of this power vacuum here and sort of campaign a little bit, maybe like at the tavern talking her up and stuff like that, or maybe I think I've got our opossum friend with me a lot of the time, and I think that's generally what I'm trying to do.
Okay, let's just do a manipulation roll. That seems like the right way to kind of see how successful you are. You peeled off some people before, and you've been kind of drawing it. Victoria's kind of rising up. She's got more people in and amongst her gang. Let's have that manipulation roll.
Okay. So I've got a total of 2 dice for this, so we'll see how this goes.
Oh. I believe in you, Obi.
Thank you.
Doesn't he have some assets? I mean, he's got reputation. Stuff like that now.
Yeah, that seems reasonable. What do you think your reputation is? What how would you summarize that?
Well, I think that I know that things can be pretty cutthroat around here, and I think that after Orion goes down, and I am the one, or I contributed a lot to his downfall, right? I mean, I put the Naginata in his chest, right? So
Right.
I'm wondering if this might be a little more me trying to sort of like capitalize on that and kind of throw my weight around and be a little bit scary and intimidating, so I can kind of like enforce the Victoria's will, and I want to be like she's not messing around. She's got like powerful people with her. So I wonder if could I maybe make this intimidate if I'm trying to maybe spin it like that a little more?
If you're trying to draw people to you, intimidate is not the thing.
You are right. You are right.
If you're trying to if your message is to the other bosses, don't screw with Victoria, that'd be intimidate. But if you're trying to draw people, I'm going to have you manipulate. I'll give you an extra die for what has happened and your sort of heroic reputation.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, I think I can handle 3 dice. Would that go in skill dice?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, here we go. Well, there's I only have 2 empathy or 2 doubt, so
that's true. And you've already kind of, people aren't listening to you and just sort of getting under your skin, kind of making you doubt yourself.
Yeah, I think Obukai, okay, fine, 1 damage. Dang it.
So it is, you were super effective in that fight. You were super dangerous in that fight. But a lot of weird stuff went down. People know that these people from the Pink attacked, and there was some psychic powers, and they don't know what's going on. And so people are kind of staying away from you. It's more that they don't know what's going on. They're already bothered that the elder has passed away. And so they do kind of avoid you in that. And probably a couple of people that you peeled off from Janat's group will probably head back over to join Elon. Victoria's still, a rising star, but you weren't able to draw people in like you wanted to.
Makes sense.
Syntax, what about you in the wake of all these events?
Well, let me tell you.
Yes.
I think I'm staring at the fields that won't grow, feeling my heart die slowly inside, because we need that food. Also, I'm sharpening my weapons. As a side note.
Yeah, there is probably that thing that when that day, in that midweek when Ellen is kind of picking at her food. She's we're having this again, and her mom is, Bayra's like, no, just eat it, you're lucky to have food.
And yeah, because it was, we also didn't really ever talk about I think I'm a little bit worried that they also have that pink stuff in them now a little bit. Which that would be a good intersection with Keith's character. Maybe could be like, yo, ever heard of pink stuff possessing people? Maybe you look at these 2 people.
Okay. Let me swing back on that one. How does that? Can I do that?
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay. Any KO. This is the first time you've had a chance to sit down in your workshop for a while, right?
Yeah. Well, I could, except that, what's his name is here. So, the robot.
Yeah, that's
Rashomon.
right. You have Rashomon, the robot, is with you.
And I think it's become a pitched battle between who can outdo whom, and he has the upper hand.
Oh yeah. And he's like, oh yeah, don't forget, I'm not an infiltrator or a villain or anything. Don't forget that. I'm not here to betray all of you and destroy your shit from the inside. Ha 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 ha. He says that a lot.
All right. I'm going to find his off switch.
He says, not if I find yours first. So yeah, he actually is an asset to you.
Right.
He is at least trying to make himself vaguely useful here. Since he does, need you guys a little bit to survive, and he can't go back to the other robots.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll give you a gear die for him.
Okay. So I think that then in that what we're going to do is work on some things that will help to stabilize. So, I mean, that's why we're working on the farmland, but there's other things too. So one of the things is that with Orion going down, and it's sort of, and just that sort of horrible, weird people acting so strange because of what was going on with the mental control and all that. I don't think anyone trusts anyone.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the best we can do is to come up with tasks that lots of people have to work together on, just so that they get like a greater familiarity with each other. Okay. So I think that what I'm going to do is go and talk to some of the bosses that are on the boat, mm-hmm. and even Sixter, and go, hey.
Sixter is going to be very pleased if someone comes and acknowledges that he is the boss.
Yeah, and she comes and goes, hey, listen, you guys were so isolated out here that when something bad happened, there was no one to notice it until it was too late. I'm thinking it would be good if we built up this whole rampart so that you guys are more a part of it. It's easier to get back and forth if you want. You still got control over it. Okay. But it's not such a big deal going back and forth.
Okay.
And I go, and here's the other thing.
Yeah.
We're working on that, raising stuff in the water, right? You've got all this path stuff that's right down there. We can put those baskets along there, and you guys have all kinds of harvest and stuff that you have control over.
Okay. That sounds, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's do that.
All right. And I'll probably go around to all the bosses, give them an offer of things that they can do with the resources that they have. And it's just about building up that infrastructure so that the ship is easier to traverse.
So here is the question. I mean, the bosses, if you're going to work on it, they kind of don't care. They're willing to give their stamp as long as they don't have to commit anything to it. If you want to actually get them to commit, we'll do manipulate. If you just want to build it,
just want to build it. Just want to build it. But yeah, that's what I want.
Then let's do jury rig.
Okay. So this is.
You've got a lot of scrap on the ship. You're using the ship's parts. That seems to be the components that you're building on.
And I've been essentially working on this stuff and trying to think of all the things that work together for people. So it is that sort of thing of this is food, but we also need community and safety and those things. So right off the bat, if I roll again.
Yeah, you don't. If you roll again, that'll be four damage to you.
Wow, that's a crazy roll. Look at, and I would lose one of my gear things too. Probably Rashomon.
No. So that's 2 successes.
Yeah.
So, what your overall goal here is to build better access,
right?
So I think one of those successes goes to build sort of temporary better access between the boat and the rig. Mm-hmm. The extra success you could spend to make that more permanent, or you could spend it to do something else.
I will spend to make it more permanent because I don't want my work to fall apart, and those things seem like they aren't worth the effort.
Okay. And you can get your other gearhead friend, the one who was collecting plastic,
Arbitrary.
arbitrary, to go in and assist you on that.
Okay, awesome.
Let's come around then to our chronicler, Elias. Elias, you've probably been working with right now Miri to try and go through some of the bits and pieces from the Elder notes and scraps and things like that. The two groups of the chroniclers have reached a kind of a detente that everybody is looking at all this stuff. Nobody's grabbing a hold of it. People are nervous because there were a group of chroniclers that, you know, in the immediate aftermath of the Elder's death, they took some other people and they took off and are missing from the Ark. People are afraid that maybe they grabbed some stuff and so on. And Mary says to you, you can help out with looking at the Elder stuff. We can have you check on what the other chroniclers are working on. What would you like to do?
I think dig into what was left by the Elders would probably be the most useful thing to start with.
And what do you think is the most sort of amongst the bits and pieces and papers here? I mean, weird scraps of books and journals and things like that. Would you go for something bright and colorful or something densely written? What do you think attracts Elias?
I would say I'm looking for the oldest thing, the earliest record that the Elder may have kept. Because from my understanding, the Elder was sort of a mysterious figure, and you said the only one without mutations and seemingly a relic from an earlier time.
Yeah. Let me have you roll comprehend.
Okay.
You're going to get some bits here, and then I may give you some additional information based on your roll.
That's wits. And I do have to put 0 for gear, right?
That is correct.
Keep that straight. But I can push myself on that?
Yeah, yes, you can.
Okay. All right. That's
okay. So you will find there are very old pieces of records and scraps here. Some that seem to have been kind of deliberately obscured by the Elder. Some journals and things that seem to be encoded. But one of the things that you will find is what looks to be a kind of a map of the region. And there are various things marked here with sort of different descriptions. It almost looks like it might be a map of the area from before everything went really awry. And of the things you can spot that there are several features that you've seen the maps of the zone that your people have that aren't on those, that are marked on that map. And you'll be able to spot like 3 of them. There's some other things you're not able to decipher, but 3 of them that are kind of marked out there. And I will show you what those look like. I'm going to pull up the zone map on Roll20. And there are the things marked in purple appear to be things that are registered by the Elder on his maps that you can kind of translate what they mean, that are spread out on the zone. The northernmost one is the vault. Depot is written for another one, and then library for the third. It's about that time that Miri is speaking with Syntax. Um, how do you know Syntax? He's a stalker. He goes out into the zone. Have you gone out to the zone with him, or did you know him from your days before he became a chronicler? What do you think, Elias?
How long has Syntax been around?
All your life.
I'm just wondering, because she does look young. I'm wondering if she would have been in the sort of founding unpleasantries that I was thinking I cut my teeth on.
Everyone would have been around during those battles. Whether she was tightly involved is an interesting question.
Yeah, okay. How long ago was it, do you think?
Like, imagine that you guys are in your biological age, late 20s.
Mm-hmm.
All of you are about that age, so maybe.
Oh, right, everyone's the same age. Okay.
So maybe like 3 or 4 years ago that would have broken out. Does that seem like a good time, Elias, or is it more recent?
No, I think that's good. Yeah. I had forgotten you mentioned everyone was the same age and I was picturing myself as older. Yeah, definitely. Then I think we had each other's back at some point, perhaps where it was not obvious that it would go that way. There was a moment of uncertainty, like, I could bash you with this wrench or you could stab me with that knife, but instead we're just both going to walk away.
Yeah. Well, and I think that fits well because Syntax generally doesn't like chroniclers because some stuff went down before where her best friend was killed and then another one swept it under the rug. But if we have the camaraderie thing going on, then it makes more sense for the scene anyway. So I think that's good.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Miri will come back to you, Elias, and will say, you know Syntax, right?
Yeah, of course.
You weren't around the people who came in from the outside as much as some of the others. They're the ones who caused all this trouble before, and apparently they were controlling some people. He wants you to go and she wants you to go and look at some of her friends to see if you think they might be mind controlled, I think is what she wants. I think he just wants somebody to give a reassuring opinion. Would you mind doing that?
If you think it's wise, Miri, of course, I'll take a look.
Well, Syntax has been an asset here, and anything we can do to make her less hostile to the chroniclers would be for the better.
I don't know that I have that level of persuasion available to me.
If you have the opportunity and the subject of the opossum person that they brought back from the zone comes up, we still want to interview him because we don't know very much about him. And I know that Syntax has an in with the person.
I'll see what I can do, Miri.
And Syntax, Elias is there.
Hello, Syntax. I understand you brought some interesting friends back from the zone.
And I kind of like look around and be like, shh. Because like, I don't know. I think like I'm very overprotective of them. They're like really like important people to me now. And I'm worried, I think that if other people make the connection that they're from the same place as the mind control people that went crazy and tried to kill us, that would be bad.
Damned by their association.
Yeah, so far, I mean, they definitely don't act like the other people who just showed up and were acting kind of weird and then tried to do some terrible things like plant explosives and scream at you and make your soul go out of your body and stuff. So far, they've just been normal. But if you can clear them, then maybe it's without question that they're a part of this community and will assuage some of the people from thinking that they're a part of anything that had to do with those other people. The pink people.
I'll definitely take a look at them. Yeah. See if there's anything in the writings about that sort of thing.
Thank you.
And we can cut to like a scene with the two of you meeting with Bera and Ellen.
Mm-hmm.
She's Bera is as a woman about maybe a little bit older. I mean, biological age is hard for you guys to tell. She doesn't have any mutations, none that you've seen. So she might have other mutations, and she has a little mutant with her. It's like half-sized little person named Ellen, and she's glad to be introduced to you. What mutation of the two mutations did you choose for Elias?
I went with the acid spit.
Okay. Are there any visible signs of that?
You know, I would think, in addition to the cornucopia of scars that the picture I chose has, I would imagine. Oh, that's why he has the beard and the mustache, because his lips are all kinds of scarred, and there's probably like missing hair in this area, and like constant handkerchief dabbing.
And Ellen, the little one, is like kind of staring at you. Not something you're used to, because most of the people on the ark don't stare at other people's mutations or anything, but she's like hugely wide-eyed when you come in.
Is this the winged one, or is it a different character?
No, this is Ellen. I don't have a picture for her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does she have any visible mutations?
Nope, except that she's half-sized.
Okay. So not just a kid, like a half-sized person.
Well, no, she is a kid, but none of you have seen kids, so everybody assumes that she's a half-sized person.
Yeah.
All right. So that is strange.
Yes.
In character, unusual.
Yes.
Yeah. And strange that they don't have mutations.
I kind of self-consciously pat away and look over at Syntax, like kind of a little bit of a questioning glance.
And I think I like how old is Ellen again?
You would guess she's 11.
Okay. I think I like cough and look at her. I probably have some sort of signal.
She does that thing where she sits down and she's got like some scraps of paper and she's kind of drawing things on, and she'll go back to doing that, and maybe it gets a little red in her cheeks.
Yeah. And I say she means nothing by it. This is all just so new for her.
What is the place like where you two have come from?
And Barris says, that's the problem. When they found us in the zone, we and the other people had escaped from a place called the Pink. The others were killed by these warriors in cars after we escaped. But I don't remember anything about where we came from. I have no memory at all. I know it was called the Pink, but I remember nothing. And I don't know why. Those others said that they also had lost their memory, but they were suspicious, and they clearly hadn't. They clearly were from that place.
And just out of character, those are the ones that went crazy. Okay.
Went crazy, yeah.
Yeah. They were acting kind of like insurgents or something. Some of them had planted explosives, and others like integrated themselves into gangs and stuff. It seemed like they were up to no good for sure.
Elias, you have sense of motion?
Of course.
Okay. Let me have you make a sense of emotion roll here.
All right. That's what I'm good at, relatively speaking. Even so, probably worth pushing that then.
Well, one success is all you need.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. In this game, literally, one success is all you need. Anything else is gravy and get you bennies on top of it. But
Okay.
she's very honest about this. You can tell that this not knowing about where she came from really bothers her, and she would like to be able to tell you to put everyone's mind at ease, but she just doesn't remember. And she that seems very straight. You don't sense any deception in her or Ellen when you're talking with her. She's clearly very attached to Syntax and very grateful to Syntax for protecting them. Maybe even worried that she's not doing enough to help out. Those seem to be the things that are most top of her mind right now.
I'm not sensing any subterfuge here, Syntax. They seems like they're on the level.
Well, yeah, I don't doubt their intentions. I worry that they've been maybe implanted or something by the pink without their knowledge, because when we spoke to one of them, they seemed semi-normal at first as well, but then their mouth opened wide to have the pink in it.
Ew.
Yeah.
They did have some strange telltale behaviors, some oddness to them when they came through, and you probably don't see any of those signs on either of them. The weird tics, the way they talk, their focus, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, and I think just getting a Chronicles like sign off is fine too. Yeah, so it should be fine. But here's the question: is there like any chroniclers with like mutations that are like able to get at people's memories or hypnotize them and bring them out and stuff like that?
Most of the mental people were on Orion's group.
We killed them all.
And they are all dead now.
Well, they were also evil, so
yeah. And the other
pattern, guys.
That group of chroniclers and other people that took off were also people with mind powers. And they took off just after, so they've been gone for a few days. Nobody's seen them.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm happy anyway. I think Syntax would assume that a chronicler's side off would assuage any people's like discomfort with them being here or anything.
Let me cut from you back to Obakai. Obakai Lemieux is very excited by his new status as a savior of the Ark. He makes a big deal out of that. People are interested in seeing this opossum person who apparently killed a bunch of people and was kind of crazy. And Lemieux's like, so what are we going to do? What's our next step?
Well, I mean, I know you got skills. I
got man skills. I got a knife.
Yeah.
I got 2 knives because somebody gave me a second knife. So now I got 2 knives that I can stab dudes with.
Dang. Well,
I don't know, like that big old spear that you got, but I couldn't carry that because I'm a little lower to the ground.
Yeah, this thing is a bit taller than you, so you better. Yeah. Well, I mean, you're gonna want to capitalize off your new reputation around here, right? Do you want to get involved? You want people to respect you and not just look at you and assume that you're some weird outsider because you're a little furry,
Would they think that?
Yeah. Well, we killed a lot of the ones that would, but there's still some lurking around.
Okay, so what do we do? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm just an uplifted mutant opossum. I don't know about these things. So you're a big crocodile dude. You know these things.
I know some things. Well, I figure we want to make a show of strength so that nobody knows to mess with you, and we really there's a lot of question about who runs things around here now with the Elder and with Orion gone, and we want to solidify people's ideas about who we are and what we do.
So we're gonna go and rough some people up.
You know how much I love it roughing people up. But,
I have that sense.
We got to do it for the right reasons, though. You see, at first I went around and I tried to talk to people. I tried to explain to them logically, why they should listen to Victoria and why they should be on board with the new wave of what's happening around here, but they didn't listen to me.
Sounds like they need a punch to the head.
Some of them. No knives for this one. But I say we go get a few drinks, get Bosco and a couple of the folks around, and just go for a night on the town. If anyone gives us trouble, we'll let them know the way things are. Does that sound good?
Sounds good. I'm up for that. Let's have you roll. So if you want to cause damage and strut your stuff and make a point, you can roll intimidation. If you just want to enjoy yourself, you can roll endure. Endure is the making of friends kind of role.
Right. I think that Obakai, there was a lot of hate and a lot of emotion in that whole encounter with Orion. And after it happened, I think they wanted to try to sort of go around and just Obakai defaults to maybe a more pleasant state, but then when it doesn't go well, they resort to what they know they're really good at, which is being a little rough around the edges. So I think the few people that are left around that were listening to Jonats and really believed what he was doing, and the few Orion's people's left, and if any dissenters, if we go around and people are catcalling and yelling shit at Lemieux or me or anybody else. I think this is an intimidate situation.
Okay, let's have you roll.
All right. Would I have a hand from Lemieux if he's backing me up on this?
Oh, I'll give you a bonus die for having a rabid a possum mutant with you.
Awesome. I'll do my best to rein him in, but no promises. Here we go. All right. I think
that's one success.
Okay.
So tell me, which of the sort of the groups do you want to make that impression with? Like, is it the Orion's former gang, the Milix's people? Is it Elon's people? Is it Jahamad, who's kind of stayed out of things, but he clearly has been amassing power? Who is it? Is it Delight? Controls the water supply?
I think we're not directly messing with Delight or Johammond's people because I don't want to cause a lot of problems for Victoria, but we want to send the message to them. So we want to do the stuff around their territory so they see it and they know that Victoria is not to be messed with. The idea is that it's a statement.
Who are you fucking with? Which one?
Good question. I think I hold grudges, and I think it's anyone that's Johammond not Johammond. Anyone that was with Jonats or Orion before. Anybody who I saw their face in that battle and they were fighting against us, we make it clear to them.
So probably the closest one are the people who were with Jonats, but defected over to Elon. You can go and walk up and around them and start making that noise there, and eventually Elon will come to you and will say, dude. These guys, they're plenty scared. They're not going to mess with you. I can promise you that.
Throwing around promises real easy when it's not that easy to change a person. I think I'm a few drinks in at this point. I think we all are, sort of. This is a delicate situation. I understand that. You know, I came around and I talked to these people. Some of them came over to our side. But then as soon as things went down, they went running off. They're afraid to stand up for what's truly right, I think.
They came back to my gang. Look, I've got no beef with Victoria. I got no beef with you. I got a bunch of people that got jerked around after Marlot got killed. So I'm telling you, we're square. But if we're not, if we're not, then you need to tell me that we're having a problem. I don't want to have a problem with you.
You and I are not having a problem. I know that you're close to NEKO, and I don't want to do nothing to upset that. But your people have not atoned for what they did, for the wrongs that they did under Jonats and Orion. And if I see them step out of line 1 inch, that toe is coming off.
I will talk to them. But I am their boss, and I'm going to protect them.
All right. Well, you stood up for yourself, but I like what you're saying to me, but I got a rabbit, a possum here, and a few other goons that don't think so straight all the time, especially with a few drinks in them. So I'm listening to what you're saying. I just want to have that on the table, that the times are changing. Victoria's power is growing, and we're not going to let shit happen like Orion let it happen. You understand?
I understand the threat you're making. I will keep that in mind.
That's good. That's good.
Back off. It backs away. Let me cut from that rising set of tensions over to you, NEKO.
Yes.
What are you working on?
I'm working on stuff. I'm working on things so people can work together better. I'm gonna make this a better place.
Oh yeah. You hear there's some stuff that went down at the tavern, maybe
What?
but is there anything particular you're working on, or anything you want to do?
See,
I mean, you've heard everything that's gone on. You know, there's people that have gone missing. You know, there's changes going on. You've heard about
right, all those chroniclers. The chroniclers have been such problems lately. If I go and ask around, which ones were it that took off?
There was a guy named Zoran, who seemed to be the head of them. He was essentially able to shift people's emotions. He and a couple of the other chronicles took off. They took off with some of the people that were left over from Orion's gang that weren't killed, that didn't join up with Sixter.
So they were all mental power people, as far as we can tell?
Yeah.
Did they take anything with them?
Do you want to go search their stuff? Check that out.
Search their stuff?
They're essentially their dens or whatever.
Sure, I'll go and check to see if there's anything up other than them deciding that it was people killing people with mind powers, and just, you know, it's not like I could kind of understand that. I would just like to make sure they didn't take off with something or carry away a piece of the pink with them, if that makes any sense.
Okay. Let me think. What is going to be the appropriate way to handle this?
Know the zone?
Well, that's an interesting one. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Let's go with that.
Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Syntax. paste it in. So.
You called? Hey.
Yeah, I know. Really, that first session, I could barely get the thing between your name and this syntax. It was killing my head. Okay, 2.
Okay.
2
successes.
Not bad.
Okay. Let me give you some information, and I'm going to give you a couple of follow-up questions. Does that sound reasonable?
That sounds more than reasonable.
It looks like they kind of hurriedly grabbed up spare food and water that they could get a hold of. Like they were clearly planning on going out into the zone. Real basic stuff. They didn't go and take anything else, and they were clearly kind of trying to stay out of people's sights. But they also clearly had done some copying over of papers and notes and maps and things like that.
Okay.
Like they had a purpose for what they were doing. They were kind of you have when you talk to the chroniclers, they clearly the ones who took off were there, for the first day of going through the elder stuff, and then they skedaddled.
Were they people who had hung together before, or was this sort of spontaneous?
It was a little odd that they took off, but the sense that was that with Azazel falling from grace, that chroniclers with some problem issues might get in bigger trouble. Like people might come down on them. That's the sense that the people generally have right now about why they left.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you a really critical question.
Absolutely.
I've been with chroniclers out in the zone.
Mm-hmm.
Did they take anyone with them that was zone capable?
Vaguely.
All right.
Vaguely. They took with them one of the the pyrotechnics that Orion had. A guy was able to conjure fire with his mind.
Okay.
He at least had some survival skills. Not a stalker per se.
Oh. Okay. So, if I take the binoculars out and look around, can I see any trace of where they might have gone through? I'm looking for things like, I don't know. It's just a bunch of chroniclers out there in the waste. It's pretty.
You can tell they definitely headed across the walkway, and they headed that sort of northward, which doesn't tell you much, but at least narrows it down 50-50.
Okay.
If they were out there, at least their early track shouldn't be hard to
pick
follow.
Up. Okay.
And I'm going to assume that you can go to Syntax and to Obakai to kind of discuss this info.
Yeah. And I'll kind of go, best case, they're out there and starving to death, but I mean, they don't really need to. Worst case, I don't know, they took something and they're going to stir up some trouble for us.
Sounds like we need to stalk them.
Wait, that came out really creepy sounding, Syntax.
I've been having a rough couple weeks.
I just think if we left now, we could probably catch up with them pretty easy.
If Mary is there, she will say to Elias, are you? If they need to go out into the zone, could you accompany them? If we have chroniclers that are out there doing something unpleasant, we need people to look into that.
We need to bring them back onto the leash.
Yeah.
I've been out there before. I'm not worried.
if they've gotten contaminated by this pink, can't bring them back here though. Just know that.
Look over at the tough customers that are standing around. That won't be a problem.
Fair enough. This is the midpoint. Let's take 5 minutes, and we'll come back with the prep and heading out into the zone, and anything else we want to do before we do that. So 5 minutes.
Okay.
So, Keith, what do you imagine would be the weapon of or weapons of choice for Elias? You're muted.
I can mime it as well.
Yes.
Something with which to bash or stab folks. I'm not thinking a shooty thing.
Okay. A machete or a spiked bat are classics.
Yeah, I could see either. I think a machete also gives me some other uses out of it. So
Sure.
go with that.
So a machete will cost you 2 bullets,
Okay.
and it does 2 damage,
2 damage.
and it gives you 2 dice to fight when you fight with it. So it's 2 gear dice.
Okay.
And let me see what else.
Do I need to do the hate or protect or anything of that like that?
I assume that Mary, your mentor, is probably the protect. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
So hate. I will tell you the people who are kind of on the table to be hated right now. If we kind of tie you into the PCs, there is Azazel, the of the Chroniclers. It's easy to hate him.
I'm seeing that from the chat. Yes.
Yes. There's Milix. Sixter, who took over Orion's gang, who is less awful than Orion, but is still kind of a jerk. He's a possible hate. There's also a guy we don't have a picture of named Carp Face, who Sherry hates with a white heart burning passion because he's never been on screen. Who is trying to encourage everybody to drink the rotted water.
Okay. What did Azazel do that everyone hates him about?
Well, Azazel was trying to consolidate his power amongst the chroniclers, and he was kind of jockeying for position. And he's been continuously kind of a jerk. But what he tried to do that the group found out about is he was going to cover up the fact that the elder was dead and pretend that the elder was still alive and that everybody they were getting orders from the elder and use that to cement his position. And he was going to kill someone who knew about the elder's death. The group got that person out of there, and so he couldn't do that. And the group's the only ones who really knew what he was going to do, except some of the chroniclers and them. So that's why he's kind of a jerk.
Yeah, he's on the list.
Okay, all right.
Hey, he's my new enemy too.
All right.
Mine too. Wait, why are we leaving the?
When we could just murder this guy.
Yeah. Well, you can do 2 things in a day.
It's true. Unless you're in Tokyo.
I'm sorry.
That was a Persona 5 joke. There, let's go on.
Just to let people know, I do not have talents. So if you notice an arena where a talent would come in useful, just let me know. I kind of skimmed them, but there was a bunch. And I'm not sure what my specialist skill Inspire does.
Inspire. I will tell you what you can use it for real quick. Get to that. Inspire. You can use this to boost someone. Essentially, you can cheer them on when they're doing a task, and any of your successes get added straight to their successes. Rather than just giving them a boost of a die, you can actually give them a bunch of dice. And you can also use that to hinder enemies. Essentially, every success you roll reduces their successes by 1.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's really sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
You'll quickly learn with the group that we all expect you to be telling the story of what we're doing as we're walking along.
Their first chronicler constantly narrated all of the actions. Do you want anything like armor or like protection against rot or anything like that?
Sure.
Okay.
Sounds like a good plan.
A rot suit would give you protection against rot being out in the zone. It would cost 4 bullets.
Okie dokie.
And it gives you protection 3 against the rot. That's probably the best thing to buy.
Okay. Do I need to worry about the encumbrance for that?
Not really. I don't think you're going to be overloaded on that. And then grub, food out in the zone costs. Let me check. Well, given your food supply level. Yes, where is the project at? So for 1 bullet, you can buy 2 rations of grub or 2 units of water.
Did he roll to get the starting amounts?
He got because he's starting later. I gave him you get the maximum number of bullets plus that 6 that I gave you.
Oh, nice. Nice.
So you guys can note how much water and food that you want to take with you out into the zone. Encumbrance is not an issue, as Elias will quickly discover they go out, head out of the ark. There is a set of walkways that go across this horrible rotted river. They actually have to do these like shaking decoys they throw into the water to draw off the various aquatic beasts that live in it so that they don't attack them while they're walking across the walkway. But when you get across to the other side, they will show you that they actually have a car, which you had no idea, no one knew about. Do you want to describe that car again, Sherry?
Yes. It's I don't know, it's a car. I don't know.
You said yes, and then you regretted your choices.
And because I couldn't describe a car if my life depended on it. I can describe cars. It has wheels. This I know. It's rusty.
It's rusty. It has kind of an open frame. The windows are all gone from it. There's almost kind of a Jeep top left. There is a scrap rifle mounted on top of it. And it has a pretty generous seating in the back, so everybody's able to pile into that. It makes it very easy to travel through the zone through areas that you've been through before.
Also
Indoors,
a repurposed Helldiver
doors.
car, right? Yeah,
Yes.
it's got doors.
Yeah, it's got doors, and it does have some Go Faster red stripes painted on the side from the Hell Drivers. So it looks to you like the scholars sort of followed the sort of a north a westerly path, and if you want to, you can track them going through those zones that you already know, and follow their tracks. You guys had already mapped these out for people on the Ark, so you have the sense that they're probably following those routes.
Right. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you're deliberately trying to make good time,
Mm-hmm.
and you are using the vehicle to its fullest, and you're not stopping to like search for things, it only takes you 30 minutes to make your way through each of these zones, the ones that you've already gone through.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we can do that. I would like to search one at some point to get us some more water or something?
Sure. Let's have you make. Well, so we'll essentially the group's going to move up walkway, beast tracks, the ship, past the zone ants, up to that fallen community area. Why don't we have you make a roll the zone roll to generate some water?
Okay.
Hey, Lowell.
Yes.
If we are heading northwards, could I have maybe bought like a blanket and a torch? Would those things be around, or just one of the two?
Yeah, I'd let you buy either or both of those. A blanket is one bullet, and a torch is a half a bullet.
Just don't put just don't put the torch anywhere near my inflatable mattress.
That's right.
It's in the trunk.
What did the binos do again? Do they help me?
Oh yeah, I believe that's +2 to your roll there, to your skill dice.
Boom.
So with 3 successes, you can. You said you were looking for water.
Yeah, I didn't take the extra 2 to do the artifacts either.
Okay. So if you want, you can find 3d6 worth of water.
Sure.
Oh, sorry. Actually, it's 2d6 worth of water per. Wait, let me check. No, 1d6 worth of water. Okay, I'm sorry.
1d6. Okay.
You can also find bullets or contaminated rations.
What do people need stuff? That puts me at 8 water, which is nice and healthy. Before I only had 3, so I was a little bit worried.
I have Zone Cook, so I can clean that all up for you too.
And I have 11 grub, which is pretty good.
Well,
I'm at 8 grub, 5 water.
You guys are fine. Do you want to get more bullets?
Do people need bullets? I have 8 now.
I'm 6 of everything.
We always need more bullets, Syntax.
Sure. So maybe more bullets then. And
okay.
Can we do one of them as an artifact?
Nope, because you've already traveled through this area.
Oh yeah, right. Okay, so let's do bullets, and then just to be safe, let's do grub again too, in case we get messed up.
Okay, so bullets first.
Mm-hmm. And that's just 1d6 for each of these? Cool. 4 bullets. 6 grub.
6 grub. What do you suppose the grub is?
Campbell's soup.
Okay. And what? So you were able to scavenge contaminated soup cans that have that sort of rot of the zone dented up that your zone cook is able to then purify and get the horrors out of it.
Right.
When you hit that last area, this is the area where that community was that got destroyed by the Hell Drivers. You will find one of the people, the sort of the group of 5 that went out, clearly overcome by rot. That they had moved slowly. They weren't particularly protected, and it looks like they've just kind of dropped the body in a shallow grave and they've moved on. But it looks to you like they are headed straight north, due north from there.
Oh, interesting. I thought that they would be looking for the depot or something. Okay.
So going for the vault, maybe?
Yeah, could be headed for the vault.
Yeah. They're going for Fallout times. Okay,
So you're are you going to proceed northward then, or do you want to head over to the depot? What do you want to do?
what do you guys think? Should we just try to catch them as fast as possible, or?
Well,
I
it
think
doesn't
so.
look like they're doing that great, so yeah, maybe we better catch them as soon as we can.
Yeah, before they bite the dust. Cool. Okay. Do you guys want me to prioritize just getting there fast then and not do the artifacts?
I guess we could search on the way back, but it's unlikely that we'll have time for that.
Yeah, because it's if I do that, then I also have to identify threats and stuff too.
So I think you should pick one of them to look for artifacts, but otherwise we'll stick to threats and moving.
Okay.
Yeah, we could find something to get our food supply to 20 or something else up.
Right. Yeah, that would be good because we're only one away, right? Okay. So this one, I guess let's do this one then, and then we'll go fast after that.
Okay. So go ahead and roll your find the path roll, and I'll talk about what the zone that you move into looks like.
Alrighty. That's right. Ugh. Push. Son of a nutcracker. Okay.
So you're looking for artifacts primarily. You're going to get an extra success.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll come back to that in a second.
And so many dice too. What is up?
I love that. That's what makes me happy these days. So in any case, you will move into this next area. And very quickly you start to get into scattershot ruins. There are sets of smaller buildings around that maybe old homes and things. But then you get some open area, and you will come across sort of more broken landscapes and great girdered things. Like you'll see sort of fallen over, looks like was some sort of giant wheel with chairs on it. You'll see weirdly shaped sort of circular buildings, lots of like colored plastic and like animal shapes and things, banners that are kind of over time have glued themselves on, like plastic has melted onto other things, and it's a kind of complicated area, weird open paths, but then all of these sort of the ruins of this old amusement park that you're moving through. Lots of booths, great stacks of strollers jammed together. And at one point, kind of moving along, you haven't seen any real sign of habitation here. You're moving, kind of driving through, and kind of following the tracks. You will see that at one of these sort of crossroads of the amusement park, someone has clearly been here, but quite some time ago. And it looks like they've built this diorama out of like dolls and little plastic figures and things like that. Someone has gone to great effort to like take bits and pieces of wood and build them like ramps, and they got little cars and like some of us have spent weeks arranging this and carefully nailing things into place. It goes on for like 6-8 feet, and maybe it's 3 feet high, of all these dolls and things like that.
It's pretty creepy. I don't know if I want this artifact though.
Are the dolls doing something?
Yeah, staring into your soul.
I don't have one. It's okay.
Why don't you make a comprehend roll for me?
Me?
Yeah. Yeah, you said you asked me if the dolls were doing something.
Okay.
Could I throw in a bonus die with the skill?
Sure.
Okay. Let's see here. What's we got? Okay, so that makes it 3. So 1, and if I roll again, I'll take massive brain damage. I'm going with the 1.
Okay. It definitely looks like it's like there's a narrative here. That these aren't automated, but there's definitely a narrative of like a place. At one end, there's kind of a kind of built almost what looks like a building or something, and there's almost like this exodus of people, and you can see it's kind of a story of people traveling and dying off, and then finding like a settlement, and then something happens, and there's kind of got this sort of melted plastic rubble of the settlement, and there's like only one little like Curious George little plastic animal kind of walking away from the wreckage at the end of this narrative.
Do these dolls remind me of mutants, or do they remind me of the people who look more human?
I would say that's very hard to tell for you because this is such a hodgepodge thing. I think with one success you can get the general gist of the narrative, but not a full sort of story from that. Does that seem reasonable?
No, but that's what you've given me, so it will have to do.
Fair enough.
Do we recognize any of the buildings at all?
No, it's not anything you've seen before.
Cool.
Okay, I search around and hope that I don't find Chucky.
You will kind of poke around in one of these buildings, and you will find what looks like a pistol. But it's an odd pistol. You've never seen anything quite like this. Can I have you make a comprehend roll?
Sure. Comprehend. The one. One. Oh, barely.
It's a flare pistol.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Okay. It's got essentially 2 flares with it, and it will fire off a flare. Can be turned in for technology back at the Dawn Vault.
Okay. Technology. Cool.
And you all 4 of you kind of looking around. Elias, what's your general take on this, on the tableau or exploring the zone? What's your procedure? What do we see from you?
I feel like this is not what I am used to from it. It's more when I've been out, the encounters and needing to be on your guard, and this like evidence of some other intelligence that has been here and gone is a little unsettling. And I think I'm sort of in the let's just keep going mode.
Yeah, it's so purposeful. It so hints to someone else being around here, though a long time ago.
It's sad. It's a sad story.
One second, let me. So, syntax. You've moved off. You're kind of looking around the area. And kind of checking around. Obakai, keeping your eye out. You're Elias, you're kind of pushing for them to move on, and you're kind of examining this tableau there, Nikeo. And there is suddenly a rumbling. And then the ground will explode under your feet.
Awesome.
Their syntax.
I fly.
Okay. And let me make a quick roll here. And essentially, this thing bursts up out of the ground, and with it's like a blackish giant worm. It has the sort of segmented parts with burrs on it, and it latches on to your leg. Do you have any armor?
Yeah.
You should roll that armor.
I have a hockey mask, though. That doesn't sound like my leg.
And yet, in the system, armor is armor.
Okay.
Who did you get your chin in the way?
Yes.
No. 3 and a 4.
All right. You are going to take 2 points of damage.
No.
Okay. As this, this sucker thing grabs onto your leg, and it fastens on. And it's starting to pull you down. So rather than rolling initiative, I'm just going to start with you, Syntax, and then whoever wants to go next.
Okay. I think I take out my katana and try to bury it deep in it, whatever sucker thing.
Okay. So it's got a hold of your leg. It's pulling you under. You're going to grab out the katana and try and drive it into that.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's have you make that roll there.
Which is fight.
That is fight.
And I'm injured. So 2 on that one. And katana.
Yeah, any damage you took last session would have been cleared by now.
Yeah, but I just took 2, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was just looking at the confusion and fatigue. I think you had 2 and 2 at the start of the session. I don't think you've gotten all 6 of those.
Well,
He took some damage from pushing. I know that.
Yeah, confusion with the wits is where I took that. I took 1 point. And then I took damage. And I think I pushed again to lower my agility once.
The trade-off for taking that damage is for each damage that you take, you get a mutation point to spend towards your powers. And you start the session with an additional mutation point. So that's one of the ways you fuel that.
Okay. I am probably maxed out on MP then, yeah.
Okay. So that's
2 successes.
2 successes. So how much damage is that?
Oh, that is
now you get 2 successes. 1 success you could spend for damage. Another success you could spend to do something else with that.
Right. I've got it's 2 damage, and I would like maybe for me to use my wings to get away, detach it or something.
Okay, so you won't be able to use your wings on this round, but if you want to spend an extra success, you can kind of get it down so you can pry this sucker off of your leg so it doesn't pull you under the ground. Does that seem fair?
Yeah, I would like to not be under the ground.
Okay. So essentially, this death worm kind of grabs onto your leg, starts to pull you under. You get your sword in there and pull it away. Which one of you 3 is the next closest?
Is it actually called the death worm?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, shit. Okay.
1 word. Death worm.
I mean, if it's any consolation, you probably don't know that in the moment. So
yeah, until you make your nose's own roll, and then thank.
The name tag.
Yeah, so Sherry, you have a pretty good know the zone roll, so I'm gonna let you go next.
Oh, awesome. Well, then I will do what seems like the most sensible thing. So I think she's gotten the sucker that's sort of wrapped around her leg off, so it's not going to drag her down.
Right.
Can I take a shot down into the hole to essentially make it retreat then? I will use my nail gun.
Okay. Go ahead and make a shoot roll.
Okay. Great.
Do you want me to inspire you to shoot?
Ooh.
Oh, jeez.
I could yell out, "Drive it away! We have to save Syntax!"
Awesome.
Perfect.
Sure.
So roll inspire. Any successes you get, add into any KOs.
Sorry, is inspire itself a skill?
It is a skill. Is based on empathy. So
Okay.
whatever rank you would have dropped your points into, and you can shift things around as you wish.
All right, I got a 5 in empathy, and then
You would have to add it as a skill at the bottom because it's a class skill.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
got it.
And you can just shift points around.
Got it.
That's up to you.
Looks like I've got an 8 in that. That'll be 50.
Triple digits. Give me a second here. And there's no gear for that, I'm imagining.
I don't think so. Well, there is, but it's very specialized gear. There are sunglasses and things like that out there.
What? I want the sunglasses.
Cigarettes too, actually. Are you
Really?
like to look cool?
I will
Seriously, the
give
game
you
is
a
weird.
cigarette if you do this. Well, in that case, I'm very inspired.
Ooh.
All right.
So 2 successes onto your nail gun shot.
Okay, so I'm rolling. I'm going to push. Dang it. So I got 1, and plus his 2 gives me 3.
Okay. So that'll be 3 points of damage.
Well, no, it's 2 points of damage, and then I decide what happens with the other 2 points, right?
Yes. What do you want to do with those extra 2 successes?
Can I essentially, like you can usually knock it down or give it a positional thing? Can I make it retreat? Can I force it to retreat? Like essentially I hit the auto on my nail gun without realizing it and, paste it with about 5 nails right down the length of its body.
Sure. We'll say if you put both successes into that, that you'll put it out of position, sort of away. And then the second one will kind of put it out of position enough that it won't be able to leave an attack on this round.
Okay.
That seem
Sounds
fair?
good. Yes.
Good. Okay. Elias, what do you want to do? You've actually done your thing. You've done the inspire, right?
Fabulous. Thank you.
She has this nail gun, and it will fire out the little pellets into this, and this thing will roar back, and that probably starts to drown out your shouts. And it's kind of pulling back, like it's going to push forward again, but it's taking pain from this nail. Obakai.
Yeah. So is this worm fully out of the ground, and how big is it?
So it's probably about let's say 12 feet long, and maybe like 3 feet wide. And at this point, it's kind of been pushed back, so only like maybe the front foot of it is out from the hole. Given the nail gun spray.
Right. Well, I think I might like to sort of, while I see them fighting it, I'd like to drop off all my pads and my armor just real quick, like unvelcro everything, and then just kind of like get down on all fours and activate my lizard camouflage and sort of stalk up close to the hole so that when it comes out, I can just be ready to chop at it.
Absolutely. Spend the mutation point and roll a d6.
Sounds good.
Just don't roll a 1.
I'm good.
Okay. So you kind of do your predator thing, toss off that, vanish, go into the ground. It would go at the top of the round, but it's gotten pushed back by any KO's attack. That brings us to Syntax.
Woo! That was a good move. Okay, I
Stay right by it and strike at it.
yeah, I am gonna mess it up.
Okay.
Also, what is the mechanical benefit of me making it doubt?
Doubt is more effective for humanoid foes.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't really have a stat to hit with doubt.
Right. Okay. Then yeah, I guess I will katana it.
Okay. Go ahead and make your fight roll.
Or attempt to. Oh, just one.
Okay. So that's 2 damage.
Yes, I believe so. Yep.
All right. So you will hit it, but you kind of catch it on one of its armor plates. I mean, you cut into it a little bit, but it is still up and moving. This thing is strong.
Dang. Okay.
Let's come to any KO.
Well, if I have a movement thing, can I don't know, get out of reach or whatever, like a
Absolutely.
DM thing?
Yeah, you can do. You
Disengage?
can attack and then do a move. So you
Okay.
essentially can move from close to sort of nearby.
Yeah, it'll have to come after me if it wants me.
Okay. Any KO.
I think I'm gonna continue with the covering fire. I won't be as good as I was, but might as well give it a try. So 3 agility. Okay. There goes. All right, I rolled 2 right there, so I'm gonna go with that.
All right. So what do you want to use the extra success for? Additional damage?
Yeah, additional damage and whatever will keep it kind of pushed away or disoriented. So
you will. I mean, do you imagine there's kickback, or is it just a kind of a with this nail gun? What do you imagine that's like?
I think that actually more than anything, I think it's pretty smooth. It's that she's never kicked on the automatic before, and she's sort of jumping around trying to figure out how to turn it off because it's using up the nails.
Okay.
Does that make any sense?
Absolutely.
So it's more that she's shooting it, but she's trying to figure out why it's doing that.
Another nail a batch of nails will hit it, and it will actually pull back into the ground. There's probably at that point a spray of ichor probably catches the nails that are sticking out of it on the hole as it's going down, and that clearly hurts it even more. And it will retreat. Has that sort of squelching wet sound of something that's bleeding, and maybe a kind of a screech of pain, and it will vanish down into the hole. There's a little bit of a rumbling, and then that will stop.
I think I like limp over and I'm like, well, that was fun. Because my leg's messed up, right? From the sucker thing or whatever.
Yeah, her eyes are panicked until she gets the auto turned off. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Yeah, I think you like examine it a little bit and I just like move my hand so I move it away from pointing at anybody. Let's just turn that off a little bit.
Syntax, you know me so well. No, it's okay. It's better now. I turned it off. All right. Wait, where's Obi?
I like pop up right behind you, and I'm just like, whoo! What was that thing? Oh my god, that was terrifying. Like that gun's pretty cool, but I don't know if this was all worth it. Anyways, sorry I didn't get involved there.
I like how you play that off there.
Yeah. Well,
I'm trying.
Let's continue this conversation on the road.
And you're like, I imagine you say that already at the wheel, like calling to us.
He's a genius. This is awesome.
Yeah. And I like whisper into NAKO's ear. I'm like, he picked driving faster than you did.
What? No, he's just going straight. That's why.
That's true. Okay, so
load in. I'll like keep giving you instructions on how to do it. Like no, not like I mean, you do. So yeah.
messing up the clutch.
Not even holding on to the wheel.
Yeah, just kind of rolling. So kind of load up. You'll move through the outskirts more of this park, get out of this area. You maybe see some signs, some broken earth here that suggests that the death worm kind of moves around this area. That Syntax, you're like, oh, I should have seen that before. But oh well.
But oh well. Yeah.
As the blood pours out of your leg wound there.
Yeah.
So move into this next zone.
Mm-hmm.
How do you want to proceed? Do you want to go focus on going faster? Or look for danger? The first thing you have to decide is, are you looking for danger or artifacts primarily?
I think danger now.
Okay.
My priorities have been rearranged. Yeah.
Then
yeah.
roll your find the path. This is where you excel. This is your thing.
Mm-hmm. Nope. I don't think I can do that. Take 2 damage and not succeed.
All right.
But
So
while we're driving, maybe any KO can heal me a little bit.
Sherry?
Here's the thing is I would like to make this clear. If you had a critical damage, like, your leg had been whacked off and stuff, yeah, I could do that with just mutant points. Otherwise, it's points for points. So I can take a point, but I'm not very strong. So I will definitely take one of your points. But
well, we can hold out then.
Yeah, it's just the weird thing with my thing is I'm not actually a healer of the standard stuff. I could just take care of really catastrophic problems.
Okay, well, we can just wait for it to get messed up.
Oh, can't wait.
Like, at a meta level, I don't say that.
Well, I think we have an opportunity right here for that. So,
yeah.
Oh, so you need to be more messed up for heal to heal.
I literally, if I heal her now, I take on the wounds I heal.
With your power, with mutant powers.
Right, with my power.
If someone has the heal skill, they could try and heal.
Oh, I do have that.
How? What?
Oh, that's good.
My God, this is the first useful chronicler.
You could do that kind of thing? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I have dice. Not 21 dice. That was a typo. But still.
21 is pretty good.
I'm rolling 21d6. You know how it is.
Yeah.
Oh, I changed the wrong ones.
Nice.
So you will be able to heal one of points of his damage.
Woohoo!
Sweet.
It'll cost a grub from you, Syntax, to do that heal.
Okay. Worth it.
That's how we heal. We grind it into your leg.
Yeah. Yeah, great.
This cream of mushroom will disinfect the wound.
Yeah, exactly. I'm feeling much better now.
Trust me, I'm a doctor.
Yeah. In Mutant Year Zero, just having a full stomach is the key to healing. It costs grub to heal strength, costs water to heal agility.
Well, thank you very much, Chronicler.
So you will move into this next zone, and you find that not too far in, you actually end up kind of going downhill and kind of over the crest of this. And you realize that most of this zone here seems to be some kind of enormous crater. You haven't seen anything quite like this. It's just blasted clean. Something hit here At the outer edges, there are traceries of ruins and stuff, so things thrown, earth and bits. But this crater goes down a good, 50, 60, 70 feet deep, and it goes for probably a good mile as you move through here. And it is wet and muddy here.
Ugh. No, we don't drive through the mud.
In that case, I'm going to need you to make a driving roll there, Sherry.
Is that an actual skill?
No.
Yes, I have it because I have jury rig, and that's my plus to driving.
That is right.
Because I'm awesome. Well, maybe. Okay, I will give it a try.
Remember your hatred for Azazel.
Awesome. Yes, that will help. Okay, so it gives me... Oh my God. Haha.
Woo.
3 successes. But
And a headache.
okay. So you will begin driving and try not to go like down completely through the middle, trying to find the the spots that are less horribly muddied and tracked. You can see that clearly there are the tracks of the people that you're following have gone through here, but you're maybe like halfway along, moving along, and you begin to realize that something is pulling on the car. And you're having to compensate your steering to kind of stay out of the mud, but also with those 3 successes, you'll realize that there's some kind of like magnetic pull at the center of this crater. And it kind of, as you guys are kind of look down there, you'll see like there are bits and pieces of metal and things that have clearly been dragged to the center. So tell me, NKO, with your 3 successes, how do you evade this phenomena, this danger?
I think that essentially I sort of remember one of the diagrams in by the engine stuff in the ship, and there's a thing about like the force coming out of a thing, and that you're supposed to go at a sort of tangent to, or like a glancing, like you don't go away from it directly, you go along the side of it and you keep moving out that way, and that's a more effective way to keep it from dragging you in. So that's the story I'm telling myself. So instead of trying to drive right out away from it, she drives along it.
So you're taking that curve, you're using that to pull, and imagine that as you're doing that, I mean, you're driving, but also the car's getting pulled kind of sideways, but you kind of use that arc, gun the engine, and eventually you'll get far enough away. All of you have, as you're riding in this, Elias, what do you have on you that's metal?
Zippers, I would imagine.
Okay.
My machete, yeah, of course.
Yeah, your machete, your buttons, your zippers, all of that is getting pulled towards the center. All of you will feel that. Of course, for you, Syntax, there's that moment when your katana starts to come out of its sheath to fly towards the center when you probably panic, I assume.
Yeah, I panic, and for the whole ride in this zone, I just have my hands like this on both of them so they can't come out.
Keeping them down.
Yeah.
And for you, it's probably just your scrap axe, right, Obakai?
Yeah, and my naginata that's on my back too.
Oh,
so.
yeah. So
And your jaw.
And your jaw. Oh, my God. There probably is that moment where you're like grabbing onto that, and then you realize you have to put your hand there because you can feel it kind of start to twist off like it's going to just fly off from your face.
Yeah, I just grip my teeth as hard as I can.
And eventually you guys will crest, clearly break away from whatever this hypermagnetic field is, and crest over, and you can continue on. The car is kind of probably making a weird rattly sound by this point. You weren't able to move particularly fast through the zone. So right now, probably getting on later in the day. Conceivably, you could camp on the edge of the crater, or you could try and press on. It's going to get dark soon. If you do well on your roll, then there'll be no problem, getting to a good point or getting closer to the vault before night falls. Otherwise, you might be moving after dark, and it'd be more difficult. What do you think, Syntax?
I think we push.
Oh.
And then that way we can maybe waylay these people in the night instead of stumbling onto them or something. Does that sound good to people?
I don't want to be near this crater. This is the stuff of my nightmares.
Yeah. Metal sucker bad.
All right. Let's have you make another find the path roll.
Okay. And I'm going to prioritize threats.
Okay.
Again. There we go. 2.
So you will move through this next area. It looks like there are actually ships here, like your ship. Big ones, but it's like they got dropped from the air. They're just wreckage and twisted. I mean, they're clearly vessels that were meant to be in the water, but some of them are falling kind of stacked on one another. So you're finding yourselves having to kind of drive through these canyons between these crushed and twisted ships. And everything here is rust. The oxidization has taken hold here, and everything has a sort of gaping holes of corrosion where you get that kind of rust red and maybe those other colors like other substances have built up. That kind of smell of rust and chemicals as you're moving through. What for you, Syntax? What is the telltale sign that you spot that tells you that there are zone wasp nests here? What does that look like?
Maybe they eat the rust. So there's all these like the rust is skewed a different color from their like saliva and stuff like that. And there's like large streaks across it that if you hadn't seen the wasps and the nests and stuff, you would think it was just like a different kind of rust, but in fact it's like something far more sinister.
And probably you see that like in some places the sort of the pock marks where they've chewed through that, and you can see, I imagine with that the wasp nests, when you finally catch sight of them, are huge and sort of iridescent rust colored from all of that metal that they eat. And I mean, these things are like the size of Japanese wasps, so they're that big. And you have to move carefully. What is the trick for avoiding them, for not setting them off?
I think it is to be loud, actually. I think that normally people see them and they get really quiet.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a mistake. You need to scare them off because they're pretty like domineering of their territory otherwise.
Okay. So how do you guys make noise then?
We gun the engine. The mufflers. I like saw off a little bit of the muffler hanging out of the back, so it sounds angry.
Okay. If the vehicle wasn't already loud, it is certainly that. Barely hear yourselves over the sound of it. at that point. And the rest of you will see these colonies of these zone wasps on the various lees and points of the ship, and probably even at some point, probably darken the air as they pass over you, a swarm. But the car is loud, and you will push on through that. Let me get that copy. Paste. That was this area. And you will move into this next zone. And it's getting dark. So you'll actually see in the distance, there's clearly some mounds. It looks a little bit like the group had passed through some of those garbage dumps before. So there's kind of those garbage mountains around here. But in the distance, you can see some of these debris garbage mountains kind of illuminated, like there's some fires, like campfires off in the distance, towards the center of this zone. How do you want to proceed?
I think we'll get closer, but then we'll have to like recon them without the car, especially because it's so loud, probably. Does that make sense to people?
Yes, we'll have to find a landmark that we'll be able to find later from any of the mounds. So something like a high pole that goes up that we can use to park the car by.
Mm-hmm.
So you will move, go, leave the car here, proceed.
Take the keys.
Take the keys.
Yeah.
Do the quick as you leave the car. And you can move on through. Now it's dark. It's gotten dark. The sun has set. You get that little sort of the twinkle of the starlight through here, the moonlight, and come around through. I need just one person. Whoever is the best sneak should make that sneak roll.
Let's see. Sneak for me is 2 skill, and agility is at 4 out of 5. So 7 dice.
Ooh, that's pretty good. Anybody else top that?
Nope.
Then let's have you roll that sneak roll.
Okie dokie.
It's you've got the cover of night. You've got you're moving carefully. So one success will bring all of the group through fine.
Okay. And I don't think I have anything that helps me with that. 1 success.
So, coming up and over, and you will see there are several campfires, and you can see these figures that are there. They have like orange colored suits on, like full body suits, that they're kind of wrapped up in. There may be maybe a dozen of them. And Elias, you will see that they've clearly got at least 2 of the Chronicles. You probably will spot Zorin and a couple others, and they have them tied up. And another one of the Chroniclers is essentially on a spit. And that's that moment when you probably realize the smell, the wafting smell that you're just now picking up of the fire and the camp is that. The wind kind of carrying it. It looks like they're camping outside of, there's a building that's kind of buried under a garbage pile. Like the front of it is exposed. There's some like a big doorway, and it looks like they are like camped out, like they're waiting outside that door for something.
So they are wearing hazmat suits, but they're perfectly fine being cannibals.
That is, in fact, the case. There are about a dozen of them. There's that smell coming through. The other chroniclers are tied up. It's dark here.
Does it smell like really like chicken or tasty pork?
Nope. Probably. I don't know if you've smelled the smell of the cannibal cooking.
Yeah, probably not.
And you will see then, as the sort of you can see them sort of finish the cooking, whatever. You'll see another one of these hazmat suit figures stand up, kind of uncurl himself from the ground to stand, and the hazmat suit that he's wearing is clearly put together from several, because no one of them would fit him. He's probably about 8 feet at the shoulder. The sort of the hazmat mask face thing is kind of pulled tight over it, barely hits on his skull. And he looks like he's the leader of them, and he kind of walks over and begins to prepare the meal.
Gross. And I guess that's where we end.
That's where we're ending tonight, because it is 10:30, so that's where we're going to stop for the evening. Let's do quick experience point questions.
Right.
So 5 XP will get you a new talent or another skill. So let's go through this. Did you participate in the session? Everybody can mark an XP for that.
Woohoo.
Did you perform a day's work for a project? Everybody can mark a point for that, because I think everybody worked on a project. Did you explore at least one new sector? Yes, everybody can mark a point for that. Did you sacrifice or risk something for your PC buddy? Tell me, Elias, who do you think is your buddy amongst the group?
I would guess Syntax, based on what you said before.
Okay. Did you do anything to help Syntax out of a jam today?
I encouraged NEKO to shoot a nail gun to save her, but I don't know if that's qualifying.
Well, I'll also say that you risked going before potentially mind-controlled people to check and see if they were mind-controlled to help out Syntax. So I'll give you a point for that. Sherry, what about you?
Dang it, Obi, you're just so capable. What can I do? Nothing.
Syntax?
NEKO. I'm not sure I sacrificed anything to help her out.
That's fair. What about you, Obakai?
Same for me, I believe. Yeah, didn't do too much sacrificing. We're just hiding in the shadows.
Okay. Let's go back the other way. I think you did sacrifice or risk something for the NPC you want to keep safe, right? If we were talking about Victoria.
I actually changed that to Lemieux a few sessions ago, but I also think that sort of like bringing him out and sort of trying to make him a threat and someone that people are scared of might be something.
Sure, I'll give you that. Definitely for you, Syntax, a point for that. What about you, Sherry?
See, I'm looking out for Elon and Arbitrary and pretty much just everyone. So no, because no.
Well, yeah. Okay, we'll have to think about how we do that. So do you think you did anything there, Elias, for Mary?
I did agree to accompany this group out
Yeah.
to fetch chroniclers.
Definitely give you a point for that. Did you sacrifice or risk something to mess with the NPC you hate? Elias, do you think?
No, but I wish I did.
Okay. What about you, Sherry?
Nope.
Okay. What about you, Syntax?
Mine's Azazel, so unless I can
Not
mess
yet.
with him,
No, you
yeah.
got to mess with him next time.
Yeah.
And what about you, Obakai?
I'm trying to find a new enemy. I mean, and I don't think deceased Orion. I don't think I did anything there. So
Okay.
Just
Yeah.
make it the guy that we just saw, the leader. Done.
Doran?
He seems like an asshole, right? He's about
Oh,
to eat
that
somebody.
dude.
Oh, Sixter.
Yeah. Cannibal guy.
That guy's too tall. I hate him.
Yes.
Well, or he's
Yeah, he is
eating
taller
people.
than Obakai, which might upset him. But well, tell me about your big dream now, Obakai.
Well, I mean,
I want to approach this in a sort of Blades in the Dark way. Did you sacrifice, risk, or tell us something about your big dream?
I think that, I mean, the first part is kind of complete. The second, so I think I need to update it for next session maybe, but I did sort of at least first try and put myself out there and talk to people, and it didn't really go well for me, and I sort of ended up getting some people going back to Jonats because they didn't really listen to me, and then after that I kind of got a little more violent, but I all that stuff was trying to sort of like bring up Victoria in this power vacuum, so
I'll give you a point.
I don't know.
I'll give you a point.
Thank you.
Sherry, what about you?
Yeah, because my thing is to build a safe place where I can invent and figure things out. But I think that like last time it clarified for me when Orion did that sort of mind thing to me. And I realized that what it really was is I wanted to end to that sort of constant cruelty and like sort of horribleness that we kind of treat each other with. So
Sure.
I think it's that whole thing about building the community. That was why she was like really set on getting that place built out to Sixter.
That sounds perfect to me. Give yourself a point. What about
Okay.
you, Syntax?
Mine is to find sanctuary.
Certainly
for us.
heading out into the zone to explore for that.
Yep.
And in the vein of Blades in the Dark, Keith, tell us. I'm going to give you a point if you will tell us what your character's big dream is.
To provide the founding myth of a new civilization.
Ooh, what do you think that's gonna? How does he imagine that?
I'm picturing some sort of great deeds that will serve as like real or semi-real at least, that will serve as sort of, I don't want to say moral touchstones necessarily, but just sort of reference points where it's like, oh gosh, if Syntax was able to overcome the death worm, we can make it through this Thursday at work or whatever it happens.
Okay, I like it. You guys have a temple and you got a museum. You can start putting those together. That seems great. I'll give you a point for that. If you hit 5, you can buy a new talent or raise a skill. Next time we'll begin at the vault. We'll deal with this horror show cannibal figures here. We'll uncover the secrets of the vault, and hopefully we'll take you back to the Ark in the next session, which will be the last session of the 13 of these. We'll do roses and thorns at the end of that session as we have time. Any questions? Anything you guys want to hit before I wrap?
Is Keith here next time too?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Lately, people just been dropping like flies.
They come for a bit and then they go. But yeah, Keith, I hope this is okay. If you have any questions about system or anything, just hit me up between this and next time.
Okay. I feel like I have a lot better grasp having seen some of the pieces in motion now.
Yeah, it took me a while when I ran it face to face. I ran it with 6 people, which was kind of crazy face to face. And it took us a while to get a hold of it. Made a lot of mistakes first few sessions. Thank you guys very much. I'm going to stop the broadcast.